Clerk, read by title, please.
An ordinance amending Section 2 of the Code of the Township of Edison regarding the Emergency Management Coordinator and Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd like to open the public comment. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Wells?
Ellen Wells, Woodbridge Avenue, Edison. Just in a way of clarification, currently, there was some confusion on Tuesday. Currently, state law requires that the emergency management coordinator be a resident of the municipality. Is that correct? State law.
That is correct.
And further, currently, Edison's code requires that the deputy emergency management coordinator reside in Edison, except that since we had a deputy who was not residing in Edison, at the time the council adopted that, provisions were made that the non-resident could serve out the term, and then that would end a non-resident holding that position. Is that correct?
Council President, that is correct.
Or it was some kind of confusion about whether or not the deputy was required to be an Edison resident. It's not by the state, but it is presently in our code. So if we change this, we're going to be reverting our code back to when we didn't have that in it.
That is
We'll
correct.
be changing. If we left it the way it is now, the coordinator would live in Edison, the deputy would live in Edison, and the one who does it when the term expires, that would no longer be a consideration. I thought that needed a clarification. Stop me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to get things straight in my mind, and for some other people who were confused because they couldn't remember when you added that requirement that the deputy live in Edison, but I do remember it. Then the emergency management coordinator, his responsibility was not to be the first respondent, but I'm assuming that they would still be expected, in addition to planning, to be involved in any kind of emergency, even though they were not a first responder. That was the answer to the requirement that the person live in Edison, that they weren't part of the initial first responders. And I can't accept that. I find personally, I'm very disturbed when we modify any type of job requirement based on an individual. I'm not questioning his professional abilities, but the law requires that the person live in Edison. And this isn't the first time Edison has done it. If I'm not mistaken, a few years back, some people retired. They changed the retirement thing. I think we're still paying somebody health benefits who wasn't eligible for them, but they changed the rules just for those people. So I'm very concerned about this, and I hope that you do not adopt this ordinance, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Ms. Tasman?
Jane Tausman, 14 Butler Road, Edison. I would also like to see the coordinator be an Edison person. I think it's very, very important. We have a whole history of problems, and granted, this is not the person who is the first responder. I understand that. But I recall one each Lieutenant Elmeyer during the Durham Woods. I saw what he organized, and I saw how fast he made things happen so that we had good response from the fire at the Durham Woods. I recall that we have 3 landfills that are within a 5-mile radius of Edison. Each one of them has a potential of having a problem at some time. So we have a lot of emergency situations that can happen. Granted, we're going to have a beautiful new facility at Raritan Center. That's terrific, but we still need someone who has a tremendous amount of knowledge and who has experience and who lives here, who can call shot and be available for any planning that comes down when there's an emergency that comes in. So I would hope that you would find a coordinator and that that coordinator would live in Edison Township. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tasman. Ms. Wall?
Irene Wall, Fleet Avenue. I too agree with the two previous speakers. It is very apparent to some of us, if not some of you, that this is circumventing. This ordinance, if you choose to adopt this, is circumventing what should be a response, as we say, emergency management coordinator, to reside in Edison. In view of the fact that we had 9/11, we've had the Durham Wood explosion, we need someone close by. None of us are disparaging his abilities, but we do need a coordinator here in Edison. And right now, if this is passed, you're leaving us without a coordinator, having one that has to, a deputy who has to finish out his time, one who resides in Edison, and as I understand it, adding a third deputy who will be residing out of town. If you're working for the Township of Edison in that capacity at least, you should be a resident. You should be a resident. So I'm going to ask that you don't adopt this one. Do not adopt this. This is just pandering to one individual. I think you all know that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Walke?
Fred Walke, 10 Peak Road, Edison. I'd like to ask, as Council President, who is the Emergency Management Coordinator?
Right now, Mark Anderko.
But he will not be. Who will be taking his place?
That would be the next person. Yes, sir.
That position is the mayor's appointment,
That's, right.
and when the position becomes vacant, and a letter of resignation is submitted, the mayor will make an appointment, and based on state law, that person will be a resident of Edison.
Okay, in the meantime, I guess Lieutenant Anderko will be, Captain Anderko will be remaining as the Emergency Management Coordinator until such position is filled? Or will he, as soon as he moves out of town, he will no longer be in that position?
Council President, he is still a resident of Edison. When he's not, he will submit a letter of resignation, and the mayor will make that appointment consistent with the state statute.
All right. I think that we should vote down this ordinance for the simple reason that it's leaving the people of Edison open to a disaster. We have to have somebody living here in Edison. When something happens, that person has to be able to respond almost immediately, if not sooner. And I hope you will sincerely consider this ordinance and turn it down. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Marianne Takish.
Mary Ann Takish, 27 Parkway. I agree with all the people that spoke before me. Please don't pass this ordinance. Thank you.